am a voice actor and professional singer, novelty songwriter, music lover.
I'm familiar with your work. Kind of just tell us what you've been in, what we might have heard you in.
Well, I started with music. I started with singing, and then I did funny voices as a kid just to embrace that whole thing just for fun as a kiddo.
Awesome.
And then I pursued my first passion, which is singing and music. Talent shows, community theater, majored in drama in college. Yeah, I just auditioned for anything and everything involving singing, dancing, and acting. So all of the above.
Let's talk about Dragon Ball. How did you come about with that?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I had always been involved in voice acting. It was a passion of mine, but I had never really sought out as a child to be a voice actor. I was doing it all the time anyway. So I was imitating everything I heard, watching cartoons and on TV. And I had like a cassette tape recorder. So I would carry that everywhere I went, and I would record, people's voices, friends' voices, babysitters' voices, make my own shows. A friend of mine in seventh grade, that whole summer before eighth grade, we got together and recorded the funniest, kind of like radio show interviews. And we would make up the characters and go back and forth. And I just developed a deeper love and passion for that because I was actually creating my own characters. What ended up happening that got me into professional voice acting, I was performing with a professional touring, internationally known show band called Vince Vance and the Valiants. I was in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I ended up in the studio, and I was called in to record some vocals for a project that was being produced by Funimation at the time. And when I was there, I met the producer of Dragon Ball Z. Little did I know, I didn't know absolutely anything at all about anime, but he had heard something in my voice that sounded animated, and I had done some stuff with Chuck E. Cheese. And so we exchanged information. It was a long time ago. I think it was like 1998. And I got called in for the audition. There was not an open call of any kind. And so I showed up to the audition, very excited to see what that was all about. You got to audition for anything and everything, or you don't ever have a shot at anything if you don't try, right?
Absolutely.
You get a lot of no's, but sometimes you get a yes here and there, and that's exactly what happened. I went in and auditioned for female characters that I had no idea who they were, what they were for, but that just seemed like the natural thing to do. But when I got in, I did run through those auditions, and there were 3 people in the room, kind of like judges. It was pretty high stress, but they asked me if I could do the voice of a young boy, and so I threw out what I thought sounded like a young boy, and I got the role of Gohan from the Ginyu Saga, and that's where my professional voice acting career began, and that was in 1998, and we started soon after recording in a little small studio, and then I finished that and was asked to voice Goku in Dragon Ball. I was asked to do a lot of the background voices for different episodes, women screaming, children crying. I happened to fall upon the role of East Kai in Dragon Ball Z as well, which is completely different than Goku's voice.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, boy. They showed me a picture of her, and I was like, oh, well, let's try. Let's take a stab at it. And I just did that voice, and they loved it.
That's awesome. So you started with Gohan's voice during the Ginyu Saga, correct?
Yes.
So how far did you get with Gohan? Like how I know they replace people all the time, but how far did you get with Gohan?
I ended up the voice of Gohan throughout that rest of the entire that saga, I guess Frieza saga, and then I actually was able to voice Gohan through the Cell saga.
So that big Kamehameha was you too, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
I look back now, and it's like, oh, well, I guess this is, I just showed up to work. You just show up for your session. It's like, what are we doing today? You don't even know. I mean, you just show up, and then you dive in, follow direction, and give it your best.
How was it going from like Gohan back to, his dad? Like, did it just kind of feel natural? How did you change the voice in order to encapsulate, because it's kind of similar families? Did you kind of use that as an inspiration for that?
I just followed the direction and was given a background story so that I could actually dive into tap into my acting skills to come through the voice as a child that's extremely innocent. I absolutely fell in love with Goku. Right, being that he's funny, he's innocent, he's silly, he's the little boy I could never be, and I could like channel this. I had brothers. I had 2 stepbrothers and a brother, and on my dad's side in another state, I had another stepbrother and a stepsister. So, but mostly boys around me everywhere, and then my, kids down the street. I hung out and was a tomboy for a while. So I had definitely had material there to derive a voice from. And then we kind of basically pitched everything up, took some of the rasp out, and that was a lot easier on my voice. Not that it was something I wouldn't consider, I'm always up for a challenge, but it worked out to where, it was just not as hard on my voice and it didn't do as much damage to my vocal cords. And I was singing all throughout the recording of all of this stuff with that show band. And so in and out of touring anywhere from 3 days to a month at a time, I'd be on the road. So I was constantly using my voice, and that was keeping my chops up.
Did you guys ever get together and talk about your characters or anything like that? Or was there any collaboration between you and your co-stars?
Yes, there was quite a bit of that early on. The company was really small, and there was like one booth to record in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We would just share, the times, business hours mostly, 10 to 6 or whatever, break for lunch. And I would see the other voice actors that were involved and other directors in the hallway in between breaks, and then coming and going. And then as the company grew, there was Studio A, then Studio B, then Studio C. So then we had 3 going at once.
Talk about one of your favorite times of auditioning.
We were wrapping up the session. It's like, hey, we think we know who we're going to cast as East Kai. What do you think? Here's what she looks like. Throw us something crazy and over the top. And so I just said, oh my, how about this voice? And they loved it. And I liked that paying attention to the voices and that them sounding completely uniquely different is something that I liked about the English dub of what, with my experience. And so the fact that, she sounded completely different was probably a huge part of why I was cast as that character, because it sounded nothing like Goku at all, nothing like Gohan. Mm-hmm. So, which is great, because that's what I feel like in some ways is my specialty is the character voices. The dark. My favorite thing is to be around the fans and be around people anyway. So COVID was extremely difficult for me emotionally, and man, not being able to go anywhere and not having that connection to other human beings. Some people absolutely loved it. They holed up and were little hobbits and stuff. But even doing that for several months and into a year or two, that's a long time to be not around other people. I was like, what am I going to do today? Please, let's just go to the grocery store or something. I can't take it anymore. So the Comic-Cons have been great. I've actually, for a long time I thought, since I voiced these characters many, many, many years ago, there was a time when I thought that I would not there wouldn't be necessarily a need for me or for me to appear at these conventions. So it was very humbling to realize that, being cast in these roles, this show is so outrageously popular even today.
Yep.
And that a lot of the fans grew up, watching it and listening to all the voices. And then that's what they hear. That's what they heard when they were growing up. So I hear a lot of people that come up in their 20s and 30s like, hey, you're the voice of my childhood, or you're one of the voices of my childhood. And so it's been really fulfilling to get out in front of the fans, and sometimes with some of my OG voice actor friends, the Bulma and the Frieza of my era. And sometimes we do events together. So I've actually been able to book pretty much every weekend.
Where's the furthest you've traveled for a convention?
Oh, hands down would be Australia.
You went to Australia?
Australia and New Zealand. Yeah.
Awesome.
I was asked to come over there in 2002, 2004, 2012, and 2018.
Oh, wow.
And like I said, I just figured, I did these voices years ago. Unless I'm casting something new or there's something coming out, that's what you kind of hear on TV when there's like a talk show there. They have guests that are, announcing some new project or something that's going on. So for me to be back in the con scene is crazy awesome. It's like, wow, people, they like me. I did this stuff years ago.
What is your favorite voice line ever? Do you have a favorite quote that you like to do?
Oh my, there's so many. I think it's funny when he says things like, yoo-hoo, Master Roshi, there's a girl downstairs. You're stinky. When he comes out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
For Gohan in the Cell Saga, definitely like, I'm my father's son, or something like that.
Give some advice for voice acting and give some advice for singing.
My personal advice is practice your craft. For me, I was doing it for fun all my life growing up as a kiddo. To pack your resume, get involved in theater. There's workshops online. There's acting classes. Now that there's, we're coming out of COVID, there's things online that you can do. You don't have to leave your house. Get a demo done that you can have done either somebody in-house, or you can go online and see if there's somebody. You can even send the files, record what you think is good, have somebody chop it up, make it sound really great, and have like a really nice demo featuring your range. Practicing a lot. I mean, even though it was for fun, I was doing it all the time. And to this day, I'll mimic something I hear on TV, or I'll mimic a jingle. Prepare yourself to it might be hard to really get into it. I couldn't get into jingles forever because the doors were shut and everybody knew each other, and it was like really hard to get in to that particular profession. But that's why it's like sometimes you got to do what you don't want to necessarily do it for a living to be able to pay your bills until you can.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Stephanie. Follow all the links below in the YouTube, and then also, obviously, we're here on Twitch.